Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, Republicans are going to retake the House. This is very true. We kind of knew this already, but as more of the states are finishing counting, mainly on the West Coast, it's apparently becoming official that Republicans will retake the House. They just called New York's 22nd district on decision desk for Brandon Williams, the Republican there. That is going to be a Republican hold in a deep Biden district, as a lot of these New York districts eventually swung to the right because of the fact that you had Lee Zeldin at the top of the ticket helping Republicans, and that may actually be the difference between the Republicans retaking the House and them not even doing that. They had a very disappointing performance all around. Kevin McCarthy should be ashamed of himself. Tom Emmer should be ashamed of himself. Ronna McDaniel should be ashamed of herself and step down, but apparently none of that will happen. They will do nothing but sit back here and blame Donald Trump, blame actual conservatives, blame the base, even though they couldn't get the base to turn out, and it really just goes on their shoulders. There's no other explanation for it, but they'll point fingers. But either way, it is going to backfire, and we're going to talk about that in this video, because Kevin McCarthy, he very well could have a divided party on his hands in Congress, and he may not even have enough votes to become Speaker. And as I predicted about a year or two ago, Andy Biggs may be throwing his hat in the ring and challenging Kevin McCarthy. So first, we're going to look at the election map here. They're still counting the votes in Arizona. A week after the election, they're still counting the votes. We don't know the winner of the governor's race, although the later drops that are coming in at Maricopa that were supposed to go in favor of Lake, they went in favor of her in the primary, they went in favor of Donald Trump in 2020, not exactly breaking her way. Very interesting there. But either way, the 6th district is probably going to go Republican, given the fact that downtown Tucson, a lot of those ballots are already counted. A lot of the suburbs that will likely come into favor Ciscomani, and they have been coming into favor Ciscomani, will probably put him over the top. Schweikert also took the lead in the 1st district. There's still some red precincts out of North Phoenix that have not exactly tabulated their ballots yet. Probably going to come in for Schweikert. That's 2 right there. Decision Desk has not called either of these races, I believe, or actually have they? Apparently they have called them on Decision Desk, so that means that they probably are going to hold for the Republicans there. Lauren Boebert's seat, much closer than anticipated, but she's likely going to hold on, even though her opponent is still going to the congressional orientation for some reason. Now, I will say this, she underperformed vastly, but in 2020, when Donald Trump was on the top of the ticket, she actually performed in line with him, may have actually outperformed him by a hair. So this notion that, oh, it's all Trump's fault, it's all the Trumpian candidate's fault, it's mainly the RNC's fault, because if Donald Trump was at the top of the ticket, Republicans likely would have done much better in a lot of these swing districts that they ended up losing. You talk about districts like Ohio's 9th, districts like Alyssa Slotkin's district in Michigan, which again, a lot of these districts went for Donald Trump. They didn't go for him by a ridiculous margin, but if he's at the top of the ticket in 2024, they would likely go for him again. Republicans, if they actually do push him aside as they want to do, they are going to be taking a massive electoral gamble, but apparently a lot of these people will be fine with it. Kevin McCarthy was perfectly fine sabotaging a lot of MAGA candidates, a lot of America First candidates in the primaries even, worked relentlessly against them, spent a lot of money against them in the primaries, didn't really have that much to spend in the general. That's malpractice right there. He's not the team player. They want to say Trump isn't being the team player or something. Kevin McCarthy is not the team player. Tom Emmer is not the team player. Trying to come out here and give the 1994 platform for 2022, that's not exactly going to be the best messaging. That's not going to draw voters to the polls. It's not, and you saw this in spades, especially in the Midwest, because you did have a red wave in Florida, even California, New York, Texas. You saw it there, states where Republicans have been campaigning on something, mainly in Florida. New York, you looked at crime. That was a big thing for Zeldin, really helped him. Republicans nationwide really didn't do that to the same extent. They really didn't. You look at Florida, DeSantis, he's produced results there. You look at even Virginia, Republicans did well. They flipped the 2nd district there. They did very well in the northern part of the state even. They got within 5 points of the Jennifer Wexton seat, and Youngkin definitely helped out quite a bit there. And he ran a campaign on something. The state has been fired up about education reform for quite some time, fed up about indoctrination. The base actually turned out in higher numbers for Youngkin in 2021 in the rural areas than they turned out for Trump, which led a lot of people to believe that the midterms would have gone very favorably in the Rust Belt, but not even. Ron Johnson in the state of Wisconsin did not exactly win by a massive margin against one of the worst candidates that the Democrats put up right next to John Fetterman. And even so, Mandela Barnes, he got within 2 points, got within almost 1 point in the state of Wisconsin. Donald Trump, when he was at the top of the ticket back in 2016, Ron Johnson beat an electoral juggernaut, arguably, in the state of Wisconsin, a legend of the Wisconsin Democrats. He beat him by 4 points, and he wasn't even supposed to win. And this is a recurring theme. This is a recurring problem. But still, they are going to retake the House given the math. Mike Garcia, he's already declared victory. Christy Smith has conceded. You look at Valadeo and Kiley, just one of those two has to flip, basically, at that point. Because then you're talking about, what are they right here? 215 on decision desk. So you add Boebert's seat. You add Garcia's seat, which hasn't been called yet. You add Calvert, he might win. Steele might pull it off. Even if you just say Republicans win half of what's remaining that they're leading in, they're going to retake the House. That's good. But still, it's abysmal. Should not have been by that margin. Should have been by a wider margin. And the polls were off in favor of the other side, which is bizarre. Because usually the polls would vastly underestimate Republicans, but apparently they did not have the energy factor. They had potential for it because Biden is so hated, but they just didn't get it done. And the autopsy report is going to continue. But you talk about the total turnout for the Republicans. Yes, they won the popular vote in the House. I know there's more votes to be counted. They're still up by 4.5%. That probably will dip below 4, but that's still more than the polls anticipated nationwide. But still, you look at it, and where was that turnout drop-off? It was in Middle America, and the polls were very bad in the swing states, and they underestimated Democrats. And maybe the polls were actually right if you did have higher turnout on the Republican side, or if Republicans actually did their job properly, but they didn't, because they're perfectly fine being in the minority. They're perfectly fine not even having a sizable majority. They're just serving as the other side to the Democrats, because that's what they have been doing. That's all that they're capable of doing. They don't stand for anything. They don't deliver results to the American people. They take people's votes, and then they have power. What do? Oh, they're going to lower taxes by 1% again or something like that and do nothing else? Yeah. No, you have to engage in the cultural fight. You have to engage in the culture war that's really netted Republicans sizable victories in certain places. But certain candidates that they happen not to like because they go against the grain, because they're not from the political establishment, they'll do anything possible to sabotage them. And it's true. And a lot of people in the base know this. I mean, you have people like J.D. Vance wrote a very good op-ed today that completely debunked all of the anti-Trump rhetoric we've seen from a lot of these Republican political strategists, and that says something. That proves that J.D. Vance is actually somebody who is going against the grain. He's somebody that, he back in the day, before 2018, he was kind of more of an establishment Republican, but it shows that there is character development there that is continuing throughout his Senate tenure. That hasn't even started yet, but it's good that he's fighting back against this narrative. And exactly who does this fall on the hands of? It is the Republican establishment. Something needs to change. And then you have Andy Biggs, who agrees with that. Andy Biggs is basically like a stealth version of Paul Gosar in many ways. His record regarding immigration, regarding foreign policy, regarding a whole lot of issues is not exactly very different from Paul Gosar. The only difference is Biggs represents a district that's not as conservative. He may not exactly show it so much in his rhetoric, but it's very evident that he's very friendly with Paul Gosar, and they share quite a bit in common. And now he is running for speaker against McCarthy. And this is a very good thing. And the reason why is because you have somebody out there who maybe could get the votes, hypothetically speaking, could actually get the votes, assuming that he had enough backing within the party. I don't think somebody like Gosar or MTG could ever become speaker realistically. They're very good at what they do. They're very great where they are, moving the Overton window, etc. Biggs is somebody who's a little bit more entrenched, but still gets it. He could actually do quite a bit as speaker, and he is somebody who represents a lot of values that I would consider America first regarding immigration, regarding foreign policy, trade, etc. But the bottom line remains the same. I don't believe that this is going to succeed. I don't believe that the GOP establishment would ever let this happen. And then even Donald Trump, where there is blame to lie on Trump, it's probably going to be for not fully going against McCarthy after this, not fully going against the establishment. He is doing his part in attacking his potential 2024 rivals, which is fine given how badly the allies of a lot of these people and Fox News and all these conservative media outlets have been going out there and attacking him. But the bottom line is it doesn't seem like there's going to be enough support to get this done. But I hope Andy Biggs has a good showing in the vote. The only problem is if it's such a divided party and you have people abstaining from voting for who they believe that the speaker should be when the new Congress enters, and when you have this speakership vote that's up for grabs, and the Republican majority is so narrow that Pelosi still has a chance to fight for that gavel, not exactly going to end well, and nothing will have changed, and the midterm would not even be a net positive at that point. It would actually be a net negative, given the fact that Republicans would literally have nothing. They would have actually lost governorships. They would have actually potentially lost one Senate seat net. We'll see what happens in Georgia. The metrics apparently for making predictions don't really usually add up anymore. But that's beside the point. We'll see what happens regarding this. But the good news is Republicans have taken back the House. We'll see what happens with the speakership vote. I don't believe there's any chance that Andy Biggs has. I'm glad he's challenging him, but hopefully the challenge does not exactly lead the Democrats to remain control at the end of the day. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Could McCarthy step aside if Biggs has enough support? Yeah, but I'm not exactly sure that he'll have enough support right now. But still, it sets a good precedent. It's possible that if Republicans in 2024 somehow increase their majority and McCarthy decides to, I don't know, endorse DeSantis in a Trump versus DeSantis primary, and hypothetically Trump wins in 2024, which is definitely not a sure thing given the results that we saw last Tuesday, then maybe Trump could have a Speaker Biggs or somebody like that during his second term. But still, we're a long ways away from that. We'll see what happens. But the Republicans are in good shape to retake the House almost certainly. Decision Desk has them at 215. They're leading in a lot of the seats that are remaining, but we'll see if those leads remain. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.